In the little book of Luca, Meik Wiking writes, "The point of it all is that if we spend our money on stuff we don't need to impress people, we are not getting any closer to happiness. We are just getting involved in an arms race. That is why we would all be better off if we put a lid on the bling." Here's a prime example and a very astute, I guess, two sentences to poignantly show us that this idea of keeping up with the Joneses, which has ruled the US since, I suppose, at least the 1950s, if not as far back as sort of some of the initial barons, the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, that sort of thing. But let's even just say from the 1950s forward, the idea that we have to keep up with each other, and if we can't, that there's some shame in the idea that either you can't afford as nice of a house as your neighbor or as nice of a car, or that it somehow speaks to your worthiness as a citizen, as a human, as a provider for your family and your community. But in reality, we know that happiness is not derived from incessantly chasing these things. In fact, part of the root of isolation and a feeling of worthlessness can arise from the incessant need to pursue additional things, make more money, fill yourself with more status and more clout, and just chase and chase when there is no destination to even be running toward. So if your sole pursuit and your sole goal in life is to just accumulate as many things as you can to impress as many people as you can, then sure, embed yourself deeply into the arms race of keeping up with the Joneses and outdoing everyone else at the expense of your time and your wealth and your relationships. But if what you're actually doing is getting caught up in that web because for some reason you've been indoctrinated into the idea that it's shameful to not be able to keep up with your neighbors or those of a similar social class, then you might want to take a good hard look at what is actually meaningful to you and isn't rooted in a simple shame versus bragging rights kind of binary view of the world and life and what all a human being encompasses. If you want to be happier, separate yourself from the things that you've been trained to believe are shameful, that don't actually provide you with any meaningful improvement in your day-to-day life.